What is up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horne, and this is the NWA. It's the show celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest pro wrestling entity of all time. Of course, we're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. Yeah, look at that. We're all wearing the stuff. That's cool. We're hashtag NWA fam. We know you guys are too. These other two guys, of course, my best of friends. Sporting the shiny new hat is Wil Martin. Hey, Will.
What's up, everyone? You can get a hat like this and a shirt like this at nationalwrestlingalliance.com. Click on shop. I had to stock up while we were in St. Louis, so that's why I'm all decked out, but feeling good.
Yep. And the other guy there who is, well, we'll see how his mood is. He's still recovering from St. Louis for a lot of different reasons, but there's the doctor, Rob Stinson. Hey, Doc.
Hey guys, and you can also, I think, get this piece of merchandise at nationalwrestlingalliance.com. Although these go fast, so we did see some in stock in St. Louis, and they went fast. So when you find them, you need to jump on them. They're well worth it. I own 2 or 3 of them, and you need to own this piece of NWA merchandise.
Absolutely, and don't forget the. Did you say the PWT store? Because NWA does have a PWT store now, so you can check that out. It's just a little bit of stuff for right this second, but it's building up. Pro Wrestling Tees has become a partner with the NWA on some of this stuff. So you guys check out that store. You can get some cool 73 and Empower merch, some old school 70 stuff, and some really cool those match card posters. Those are kind of wicked for Empower and NWA 73. And while we're here, let's give a quick shout out to our people in the chat. James Lawrence, as always, Wrestling with the MMA. Brian B, Willie Bowen, Buzz D-Mail. Dead Kobe, I see you out there. Certified Hustler. You guys, you want to talk about somebody who knows how to get rowdy at a live show. Certified Hustler was getting crunk at NWA 73 and Empower. And Polka Dot Pam, God bless her. She's in the live chat. She was supposed to be there live in St. Louis, and unfortunately, the hurricane hit. And so I guess it's a good time to say we want to send out well wishes to all our people from New Orleans who were hit by that hurricane. It affected a lot of folks. We know just some of the talent themselves at NWA were there. The Hawks Airy guys were dealing with their families being stranded down in New Orleans during that time. Tyrus, his whole family is from down in that area. And also Taryn Terrell.
Yep.
Yeah, so all of them actually, not to give too much away, but I think they all couldn't get flights out of St. Louis back home and all had to carpool together and drive for God knows however long to get back home at the end of the taping. So looks like they're all well and good. I know Taryn Terrell was very upset because a tree landed on her house and destroyed one of her Halloween decorations. And so we send our thoughts and prayers to Taryn Terrell's Halloween decorations too. Anyway, so good, right?
Hey, one shout out too. We've got connecting people through wrestling there in the chat, and I think this was the guy that was there with the frame. He was a lot of fun to watch every night.
Yeah,
I wanted to meet him. I meant to get over there. We were so busy, but man, you were a lot of fun, and you brought a lot of positivity along with Certified Hustler. Certified Hustler gave us a little bearded trio chant on night 1, I believe it was. And it was just great to meet you guys in person and be able to spend these historic nights with you. So really, really appreciate it. Much love to all of you guys. Missed you, Polka Dot Pam. Missed you a lot.
Yeah, we certainly did. We're glad to have met everybody we did get to meet. I see Alliance blog in the chat there. What's up, J Cal? And anyway, just happy to hang out with all of you guys. We didn't get to do a post show last week because we were on site in St. Louis during the tapings, and we got some backstage stuff, and it's a lot of fun, and probably plenty of stories to tell there. We've even got some footage we're going to share a little bit later here from backstage. I think you guys will dig, and just anyway, it's good to be back home and good to be back on with our hashtag NWA fam. Thanks to all the new people out there. St. Let's Get It Old Now. I like that name. And Chris Smith, what's up? And Marlon's out there too. So anyway, lots of great people, lots of people made out there. St. Louis was a blast. I hope that's coming across at the TV show. We got a big one this week to talk about. Doc, I mean, one of the big things, we heard from Nick Aldis for the first time. Can you imagine a world without Nick Aldis as the Worlds Heavyweight Champion. That's where we're living right now. It's after 73, Trevor Murdoch, your new real Worlds Heavyweight Champ.
He is, and I've got a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts about that, and it's not rooted in any particular, personal affection for Nick Aldis, although I do respect him, and he has been, become a good friend over the years and this and that. But just the weight of seeing a world title transition, I think there was a lot of emotion among all three of us that night, for both Empower and for 73 in particular. But I'll save my comments until we get to that portion of the show. Nick had some heavy words and some well thought out words, as always, for the listening and viewing audience, and so I'll save my comments for that point when we get to it.
Well, this is the second Powerrr from St. Louis at the Chase, and it's just weird. To me, it hit me this week just that it is a big deal. Nick Aldis is about to speak. Can you imagine that? Things have just been so crazy and so nuts in the NWA here these past few weeks that it just didn't occur to me. We haven't even heard from Nick Aldis since that championship match. And so it was a very special occasion and a very unique speech. Now, I can't say it's one I expected to hear, but like you said, we'll get to it and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few moments. Let's start talking about the show, though, if you guys are ready. We'll jump in and then we can talk to the chat and get some more input. And so the show starts off with the Rude Dudes, who are hanging out with May Valentine. And I don't know if I'm supposed to like these guys as much as I do, but for some reason I'm really into these two. They're a lot of fun. But they're entering the tag team title tournament. So they officially won I think it was last week they won the qualifying match, right? So they're in it. And so they're up against Stevens and Kratos. And that's going to be a very interesting situation. But that's for another week. The first match we get this week is the End taking on Jordan Clearwater and the Mystery Man. Rude Dudes, by the way, say they're going to win and they're going to go out on the town and swipe right till their thumbs fall off. And I just love that line for some reason. The End Jordan Clearwater the End versus Jordan Clearwater and Mystery Man, aka Cyon. Now that is his name. So you could go either way on that. If it's Mystery Man or Cyon, if you're nasty. And anyway, this match is it was kind of brutal. Right off the bat, the End just stuffed Cyon and just went after Jordan Clearwater like nobody's business. I mean, I can't say that's not what you expect out of the End, but it was kind of one-sided, I gotta say. But I love Cyon, I love Jordan Clearwater, but they just couldn't get the upper hand on the End. The End just took them to the woodshed, and at the end of the day, they hit the Hell on Earth, which is a upgraded doomsday device, I would say. And that's it. 1, 2, 3. The End have advanced in the tag team tournament. Will, got to know your thoughts on the End.
Well, just because this is the first post show we've done this season, obviously I am in heaven over the fact that we're having a tag team tournament. I was super excited. You guys saw me at NWA 73 when La Rebellion won the titles. I'm a huge fan of those guys, and it was a big moment. Obviously eclipsed a little bit by the World's Heavyweight Championship changing hands, but a big moment nonetheless. And so now we have this tag team tournament to crown number one contenders, and I could not be happier. As far as this match we saw tonight with Clearwater and Cyon versus the End, to me, this was a foregone conclusion. I mean, we've talked a lot about tag team dynamics. We talked about it a lot with Aaron Stevens and Kratos, and the fact that those are two guys that were just kind of thrown together to do a job. They did a good job for a lot of months with it. But now the tag champs are La Rebellion, and these guys know each other like the back of their own hands, and they're a great tag team. They can work well together. And so it's going to take a tag team of that caliber to become a number one contender. And so I think that's what we saw in this match tonight. We saw the End, who are just beasts, and they know each other really well. They know how to work together. They know how to win. And then you've got Clearwater and Cyon, who, they may have vested interest in this tag team tournament. They probably both want to hold NWA gold. Cyon has made that clear here on our show that he's here to win championships. And so no doubt they wanted to win this tournament, but at the end of the day, it's just no match for two guys like the End who have worked together and who have teamed up all over the world together. And so that the match went the way it did.
We saw the brutality between Stevens and Kratos and La Rebellion at 73. It delivered. We fully expected it to be like that. I'm not sure that we all expected the outcome, but I wouldn't have labeled that an upset either. I mean, we have quickly grown accustomed to the fact that La Rebellion, along with maybe the End, are two of the most devastating tag teams we've seen in a long, long time. And so this match, while I hold Jordan Clearwater in the highest esteem, he and his tag team partner tonight. To me, this was a mathematical equation the whole time. There are very few people that can stand in the way of the devastation that the End bring. And I think Joe Galley put it best. It was tweeted out tonight on NWA socials that they have turned St. Louis into what would they say, Mad Max Fury Road or something like that. It was right. That summed it up perfectly. The NWA Tag Team division is looking fantastic right now.
It really is. And, I didn't even mention at the top of the show, just the fact, with everything going on, you just think there's things to overlook. But yeah, Trevor Murdoch's not the only new champ. You've got La Rebellion out there and the Hex, Marty Bell and Allison Kay, sporting new gold. So just a lot going on in the NWA. And, I see you, Terry, in the chat talking about Jordan Clearwater. You wish he'd get a break. I think he's working on it, man. I got to say, a lot of people are real upset with Jordan Clearwater right now, but I'll give him this. He's got a new swagger about him that there's a confidence that comes along with Jordan Clearwater that I don't think was there before. And I can see him leveling up pretty soon. Like here, he's ready. He's got all the pieces. He's still putting it all together. And once he does, man, he's going to be a force, just like what Doc was saying.
Oh, I think we've all said the whole time that he's a prodigy. He is of the same caliber as someone like a Ricky Starks was, and someone like a Kinsey Page or a Sky Blue, where there's so much optimism about where their careers are headed. I think what Jordan needs is that extra little edge, and I think he's associating right now with the right people to give him that edge.
Yeah, it definitely does seem that way. And man, I got goosebumps when you mentioned La Rebellion. Again, don't want to speak too much out of school, but we had a good chance to hang out with those guys a little bit the night before 73, and they're intense, man, and they're focused. They were focused that night. A lot of just deep in thought. Like you could tell they were just trying to harness that energy and just focus it in the right place. And they didn't know what was going to happen the next day either, but there was I'm trying to think of the right words here. There was this intensity that Rob always talks about, but there was also like an intense amount of pride for them being in this spot and what it meant for them to win.
Yeah, you might be fooled by the makeup and the scariness of their mystique, which is true. That's real. I mean, they scare me. They scare me in person. They scare me when we engage them one-on-one. The demeanor with them doesn't change, but what comes across is how serious they take this and how intentional they are about their mission here in the NWA. They've put everything on this, and their career really came to a head. I mean, everything that they've ever done in their careers all aligned perfectly and came to emergence at NWA 73, and they are very, very conscious of that, and that makes them dangerous, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And so, we said our condolences to Jordan Clearwater for his loss in this matchup. Unfortunately, Terry, you didn't get your wish this week, but again, he's up against the End. If there's a team that matches La Rebellion for intensity, it's the End. And I feel sorry for any team that has to go up against these guys. According to my notes here, that is going to be whoever wins out of that Stevens and Kratos and the Rude Dudes matchup. So One of those two teams is going to face off against the end of the quarterfinals or the semifinals. I'm sorry, and that's going to be a rough one. Next up, you got the debut on NWA Powerrr in the ring, the Priest of Punishment, Judais, along with the Sinister Minister. He took on Jeremiah Plunkett, our old boy Plunky, and Plunkett's getting a lot of love lately, and he's doing some great stuff in the NWA, looking like $1 million, just working on, and you can tell that man is hustling. But Judais was a different deal, man. Another one of those matches, I guess. He just Judais already, as we know, the number one contender for the national title after winning the Battle Royal at NWA 73. So Chris Adonis, he's already on that radar. But Judais comes in to take on Jeremiah here, and pretty much another case of just wrong place, wrong time, I think, for like the opposing force, because Judais kind of just stalked Jeremiah Plunkett this entire match and just couldn't get the upper hand ever. Judais just dominating and hit him with whatever that was, the Razor's Edge style move. I don't know what he calls it right now, but nails that. At the end of the match, the Reverend wants him to hit another one, but before he can, James Storm comes out, and these two have had some words previously. And James Storm asks him, why does he stop messing with these Shetland ponies and pick up with this Clydesdale? And Reverend mentions they've gone back and forth a few times over the years, and a lot of blood spilled. So if he wants to mess with his guy here, it's appropriate that he's dressed for a funeral. James Storm always just don't get in a verbal sparring match with James Storm, because he says, that's fine. Maybe I am, but I'm going to let you figure out whose. And he walks away, and that sums up James Storm. Doc, what do you think about this?
It was first of all, well, while it's still on my mind, I like the implication there that James Storm was obviously James Storm obviously was not talking about his own funeral as being one of the options. He was talking about one of those two guys. I am completely impressed by Judais. I believe he's the high priest of punishment. As Kyle Davis is wont to do, he typically leaves off an important adjective or does some sort of subtle way to take a dig at somebody. He's been doing that this whole time. It always bugs me, but he's the high priest of punishment, and this guy's big and he's mean. And I didn't get anywhere close to him when we were in St. Louis. We had opportunities to talk to him. I decided that I had other projects, and I would let Gary do that, and Will. And but very impressed with him. And again, as Tim Storm was saying on commentary, Jeremiah Plunkett is no pushover. This is one of the great talents to ever come out of Middle Tennessee. One of the great bastions of talent in the United States, indeed in the entire world. And so this was not a foregone conclusion that this would go this way, but that just speaks to the amount of skill and brutality and power that the high priest of punishment brings to this. Who all's looking forward to seeing James Storm hook up with Judais? I know I am. I'm gonna pay for that right there.
Yeah, I go ahead, Will. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I just feel so great to see James Storm on an NWA ring again, on NWA television. It's been a while, and it was great to have him there. Obviously, at the NWA 73 weekend, it didn't go his way in that match with Chris Adonis, but he hadn't skipped a beat, man. I mean, he's not backing down. He's not scared. Judais he's a big guy, but he's also a scary guy. And so we've seen a theme in these first two matches of these like scary, just highly motivated, guys in the NWA. And it seems to be, the tide seems to be turning that direction, coming out of that historic weekend in St. Louis. And, Judais doesn't speak. He doesn't need to, because he looks scary enough on his own. He's got the Sinister Minister there to speak for him. And yeah, you're right. You don't want to have a war of words or a fist fight with James Storm. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. If I'm Judais, I think part of me, and I'm not Judais, obviously, you can look at me and tell that, but I would try to be laser focused on that national title. I mean, he's the number one contender. That's nothing to to gloss over. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a prestigious championship in professional wrestling, and he's the number one contender. And it seems like this James Storm thing has got him a little sidetracked, and I don't know if that's James Storm's intention. I don't know where he's going with that. I just know that something's rubbed him the wrong way about this guy, and James Storm isn't a guy to just let something roll off his back. So I feel like we're going to have some resolution to this before we see a national title shot for Judais. But yeah, I mean, I like the funeral illusion there. James Storm certainly looked like he was dressed for one, and Judais and the Sinister Minister always look like they're ready for one. So when not if, but when this match happens, yeah, I'll be there with bells on. I do want to call out too, if you guys noticed, a shout out to Sandoval, who was on the front row in his Jeremiah Plunkett t-shirt, if you guys didn't notice that. So shout out to him. He was cheering loud for the man from Tater Peeler, and so that was cool to see.
Right, yeah. Right out of Tater Peeler's favorite son.
Tater Peeler.
Doc, you're going to have to pick up that energy. Certified Hustler says your energy levels just seem down, like you've been in bed crying for the past 2 weeks. Depressed.
Cannot confirm or deny that.
I'm down, man. I'm down. I'm down. I'm going to try to rev it up tonight. We'll try to end on a high note. But, yeah, I'm down, man. You know me. Again, we got to meet some in St. Louis, and you've joined the NWA fam and have been part of our family here on the official NWA YouTube channel for the post show for a while now, so you know how we are. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm down, buddy.
Yeah, I one of my deepest regrets from St. Louis is not getting more footage of Doc on his hands and knees crying while everybody else is standing up cheering, or meeting Trevor after he now holds the 10 pounds of gold. I wish I had that footage right now. And John Gott, I see you in the chat. You're asking, has Judais said, John Gott, sorry, has Judais said much on the mic? No. Doc played it off like Will and I got some kind of exclusive interview with Judais. Said, no, he does not talk very much. He has the Reverend or the Sinister Minister there to do it for him. And there's only about 5 to 10 seconds of that conversation before it gets very awkward and you don't want to be there anymore. In fact, you know what? Here, hold on. Did you guys see this promo that dropped on the social medias today? This one.
NWA Powerrr, the Sinister Minister, and the High Priest of Punishment, Judais, have arrived. Prepare for your impending doom.
So that's exactly what it's like all the time, and he finishes every sentence that way. So it's very awkward, and you tell that mug a knock joke, it gets a little out of control. So he's got to laugh on him. So anyway, there's Judais and the Sinister Minister. All right.
Yeah,
Mickey James, just checking in to say hi. Thank you guys so much for everything in St. Louis. I love you guys. Doc, I am sad too. The love for Empower was through the roof. I am so grateful. I can't wait for Mickey. Since you're in there, can I actually pause this to show you guys something I was going to show you? We got a piece with Marty Bell, but I just wanted to show you guys something. I don't even know if I'm supposed to show you this, but it involves Mickey James, so I'm going to show it real quick on the show that I just found clever. If you think that everything goes smoothly, or any of these interviews we have in the past, or behind the scenes at the Chase went all well all the time. No, some of it we had to film in a stairwell. When I was going through this thing with Marty Bell that we've got for a little bit later in the show, I came across this one where I was trying to interview her about Jack Veneno, and we're in the stairwell and Mickey James rolled up. So I'll show you that real quick.
And I'll end it with a message in Spanish.
Okay. And I guess I'll just ask, essentially, today's Jack Veneno's birthday.
No.
September 7th.
Oh, September.
Yeah, that's not his birthday.
Anniversary of his win.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right.
It was just in St. Louis,
September 7th, you said?
September 7th.
Okay.
1982.
Sitting here with Marty Bell, and Marty, we wanted to catch up with you after your latest match, and just talk a little bit about Jack Veneno, who won the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship from Ric Flair on September 7th, 1982.
Vegan cookies?
And
I'm sorry, champs.
No.
You know, I'm just trying to make sure that you guys had some options, and they're not carb-free,
I
but they're
have some on the side.
egg-free.
I have.
These are the vegan ones. This is my
But
day
we
of
should
birth.
be.
And so if you wanted a broken nail, they're so delicious.
I
Just
have
saying.
4 set to the side already.
Teal,
Girl.
this color looks good on you. That's all. If I'm gonna bust a promo, I might as well really bust it. You know?
That's true.
Hey, Kay. Pinkies up. Oh. Sorry, take 2.
That's all right. I was fucking it up anyway. That made it better. So.
Okay, now I'm not crying anymore. Cool.
Anyway, so Mickie James, ladies and gentlemen.
It was that
Yeah.
obviously anytime she comes through, man, the water's part. She's earned that respect and that esteem from everybody back there. But Mickie James commenting on the silver lining that the weekend was, and Empower, not even a silver lining. Empower was amazing. I'm watching it here a couple days ago with Tanya, who was not there with us, but we're watching it, and I've seen it several times. We watched it the next day, and we're just weeping at how powerful a show that was. And I'm just looking forward to more and more of that. You killed it, Mickie James. You are amazing. You're a superstar, and you're an angel. And thank you for that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments. What I really love about it is, if you can't tell when you watch that clip, just AK and Marty are also in awe of Mickie James. That's how highly regarded Mickie James is. Just not to sit over here and boost her ego all night long, but even them, they're just like, I don't know. There was still a sense of like, is this real life? Is Mickie James here trying to give me cookies during a promo? Is this a thing that's happening? And so anyway, you can tell that they think it's really special to have that interaction as well. Like AK's look when Mickie James even did the pinkies up, she was like, "Okay, all right, this is real. She knows who I am." It's cool. And so thank you, Mickie, for everything, and thank you for Empower. I like Doc. I just rewatched the show, and it's so much emotion and so powerful. It's just anyway. Great stuff, and we love Mickie James. And so everything you think about her, if you need her to be as cool in real life as she seems on TV, she is. I promise you, she is just that great of a person. Now, how do we non-awkwardly transition to the next scene or the next thing?
Just do it.
All right, let's move on. Anyway, Judais, the Reverend Mitchell. Don't tell him not knows. All right. Jax Dane and Crimson, they're talking at the podium. Jax is listing off all his accomplishments, which on one hand, I always wish they would acknowledge. And now that they are, and it's him doing it every single time he speaks, I wish he'd stop. But here we are. It's also getting on Crimson's nerves too, apparently. It is just like, listen, man, we get it. You just come out here and you spout off who you are and what you've done and all of that. But, after 73, Crimson's made it his goal. Well, Jax thinks to be in a match. Crimson says, no, I just want to humiliate you. And I'm going to do that next week. We're going to be out here in the main event, and I'm going to humiliate you. And Jax says that can't happen. But I dare say there was a little concern on his face, like it's possible. Will, how do you feel?
Well, first of all, I'm a little down that we don't have the War Kings in the tag team tournament. I feel like those are a couple of guys, as I mentioned earlier, that up until recently, have spent a lot of time together and been on the same page. But clearly they've got their own issues to air out. We saw some of that at the tail end of last season of Powerrr, and we saw it really come to a head at NWA 73. The comments Jax Dane made in the pre-show, him attacking Crimson before that brawl in the loo. And so clearly the team is no more. So that is a conversation that's over and done with for now. But as far as these two guys, we talked about Crimson a little bit a couple of weeks back, and I mean he's an intimidating guy, backstage, in person, whenever you talk to him, no matter what. But standing there at the podium talking to Jax Dane, I could just feel, I don't know if you guys could feel it, but there was like a true, almost, you know, I know we just talked about the sinister minister, but almost like a sinister, like he is really, really not happy with Jax Dane. And when he said he wanted to humiliate him, I believed that. And so I don't know what he's going to do to humiliate him. Jax Dane doesn't seem to think that there's any way possible that he can be humiliated. But there's some real animosity and some real tension between these two guys. And I guess we'll find out in the main event next week what that entails. But it's definitely come to a point, and something's going to happen.
Yeah, Doc, you know, Will makes an excellent point there, actually. You know, this is professional wrestling. I mean, it's par for the course that, like, when you're upset with somebody, you're pissed off and you want to get vengeance, you just beat them up in the middle of the ring. It feels like for some reason it's a step further to say, no, that's not enough now. Now I need to humiliate you. What does that even mean in this case?
I mean, this just speaks to the long history and that these two men have with each other. I mean, they're the emotions run deep with these two, and I'm with Will. I mean, I would love to see. This saddens me a little bit because I think the end. We all, you know, when Powerrr came back after the shutdowns and all that, we all just sort of anticipated that the end were going to come in and they would be instant contenders for Kratos and Stevens' tag team championships. They would probably even win it and would go on to make their mark in the NWA tag team division. And it didn't play out that way. It seems like there's been turmoil. There's been a stigma about them since then. And Slice Boogie has been a big part of that. And there's just a lot of stuff. And so, you know, I mean, it's boiling over now to where they've allowed the personal strain to get in the way of the profession. And they've lost focus on, you know, championship goals. And now you heard Crimson, and we're talking to a former NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion. Now I'm here to humiliate you. So we'll see where it goes. It troubles me though.
Yeah, and so we're going to find out all about that next week, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens. Another debut this week on Powerrr, Tootie Lynn, who it doesn't get more popular than Tootie Lynn on the night of Powerrr. Like, she was beloved by the St. Louis audience and came so close to winning the very first NWA Women's Invitational Cup and was cut short by Chelsea Green. But just what a showing for your first time in the National Wrestling Alliance, coming out there and doing what she did. There is no shame in that. She was very, very impressive. That said, she's in here against another woman who's got a lot going for her and seems to be on fire right now, who took on Mickie James at NWA 73 and had a hell of a match with her. Kylie Ray. Both these ladies are looking for wins here, though, to get their momentum back, and or in Tootie's case, for the first time, just to show what she can do. And it's a great back and forth match, but I got to say, Kylie, as sweet and innocent as Kylie comes across at all times, you really got a chance to see the vicious side of Kylie Ray too. A lot of people just dismiss that, or they don't think it exists. But first of all, like, Tootie got that arm worked on, and so there was some aggression there. But even the quarters, you know, when the refs tried to get in between these two and break it up after the count, Kylie will still sneak a shot in there. And you could feel the crowd sort of turn on her a little bit here and there, just that she was taking advantage here with Tootie Lynn. And unfortunately, this didn't end up well for Tootie. They ended up rolling into quite a grappling match here. But Tootie goes for an arm bar, which Kylie is able to completely reverse into a big crossface. And Tootie has no choice but to tap out. Kylie Ray, the winner. But, Doc, I'm curious, what were your thoughts on Tootie Lynn's debut and Kylie Ray and where she's going?
Again, like you said, big fan of Kylie Ray. You can't help but like her, man. She just lights up a room. But don't let the smiling fool you. This girl can turn it on like that. That amygdala switches to fight mode like that. And she goes in with a fury. I mean, we've seen the best and the worst sides of her, I think. And by worst, I mean most brutal sides. But love seeing Tootie Lynn getting, a St. Louis native, the favorite daughter of St. Louis, getting her opportunity to be in the chase in the Coruscant Ballroom. For me, I mean, you can't write that better. And that's again, a nod to Mickie James and her intentions to reach out to local talent and make this really special for the people of St. Louis. And they couldn't have picked a better person to represent their city and the great wrestling heritage that St. Louis represents than Tootie Lynn. We got to meet her. She's top-notch, class act, just enthusiastic about being in this business, in the ring with someone like Kylie Rae and being in this sport. And, Kylie Rae came out on top, but I think that Tootie Lynn's going to go back to the drawing board and learn from this and get better and better and better. And I have a strong suspicion that we're going to be hearing a lot from Tootie Lynn in the future.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not, Will. Yeah,
no, I mean, she was one of the many just high spots of the weekend. Seeing her at Empower, they talked about it on commentary, but the moment where she was hugging her family and just embracing and being cheered on by the city that she's from, it was just a great moment. Those are the kind of wrestling moments that you love to be a part of, you love to be able to witness, and it feels good. And I was excited going into this match. I don't know who I would have picked for her as an opponent, in a dream scenario for her debut on Power, but it doesn't get much better than Kylie Rae. And, Velvet Sky was pointing it out on commentary as well. I mean, shout out to her too. She's done a killer job all weekend at 73 and Power and this season of Power. And, she was reminding us of that switch that gets flipped. I don't know what word Rob was talking about, the medulla oblongata, whatever switch. The amygdala.
It's going to be the pull quote from the show tonight. I'm not going to be posting that up on anything. I got to spell whatever that was. I'm not doing it.
Well, that's why he's the doctor. But yeah, there's a switch that flips. I mean, she comes out and it's all smiles and it's all joy, and she slides into the ring and everybody's smiling and happy, and then that bell rings and she becomes a force, and she becomes, we've been using this word a lot tonight, but it was just the theme of this episode, just brutal. And she was not one to give an inch for Tootie Lynn in front of her home crowd. And it was a great women's match. It was a great match in general. And two, you've got Kylie Rae, who has already made her mark in the NWA, and Tootie Lynn, who could not be more excited to be on the stage that she's on in the NWA. And I agree with you guys. I think we're going to see more from her. I think the crowd's asking for it. We're asking for it. She's going to get hers. It's just got to be the right time, and I think she might need just a little bit more experience in that ring, because there's a prestige and there's a certain level in an NWA ring, and I think Tootie's up for that. I don't think that she's, I don't think she's out of her weight class being in there. I think she's got it. She's just got to get her bearings and get that first win.
Yeah, well said. Next up, you got Tyrus and Black G's, Austin Idol, Jordan Clearwater, all harassing Kyle Davis. Poor Kyle Davis. Last we saw him, he was last we saw him was on Power, but right before that, he got punched in the face by Nick Aldis. Now he's getting pushed around by these guys. They give a little crap to G's for getting overzealous in the first TV title match that Tyrus defended on. And Tyrus, of course, dispatched G's, but they say it wasn't rigged. Although G's pointed out that was the accusation, but they're also giving him a lot of hell for putting up such a fight against Tyrus. So it's very interesting to see that play out on screen. Anyway, Tyrus is still the TV champion, and Golden Boy is he's over there getting a little spicy about how he lost that tag team match earlier in the show, and he gave 100%. They all know he gave 100%, but Mystery Man only gave about 65%, so he didn't really feel like that was fair. So just a lot of that, and even as they cut away from there, went back to the commentary position, Joe Galley pointed out they were just still over at the podium pushing Kyle around, so very interesting. Next up, unless you guys have anything to add on that, was Slice, Boogie, and Marshe Rockett versus the Big Strong Pals, Sal Rinauro and our boy Mims. And this match was a solid match between two teams. It could have gone either way, honestly. And Sal was in the ring, and you got to give credit to Mims here because Sal hits the Sal Stunner. He's doing a lot of stuff here to Slice. Can't get the job done. It wasn't until a sneaky tag by Mims. We always call Mims the blue chip rookie here, but here he is showing some instincts in the middle of the ring there. Gets that sneaky tag on Sal and comes up behind Slice and hits the hookup and gets the 1, 2, 3. And Sal and Mims are advancing in this tag team tournament. So a very good or cool win for those two guys. You guys have Will, you got any thoughts on that one?
It was a fantastic match. This is another, kind of random pairing. I mean, I don't know that I ever would have put Sal Rinauro and Mims together, but once you see them together, you can see that, these guys can work well together. They can, obviously they can get the job done. They did in this first quarterfinals match of theirs, and they're advancing in the tournament. So that's not for nothing. But yeah, your assessment was right. I do think it showed, as young as he is, some pretty veteran tag team instincts from Mims, and we haven't seen him, in that position a lot. We've seen him in a couple of tag team matches, but he seems to have the right mindset for tag team wrestling, doing what it takes to get the job done, knowing when you need to tag yourself in and finish the job, and that's what he did tonight. And because of that, they're moving on in the tournament.
This was an outcome that really surprised me because what I've seen from Marshe, Rockett, and Slice Boogie is up to this point, that edge and that attitude and that killer instinct that I think is necessary to succeed in an NWA ring, especially in this increasingly vibrant tag team division. So I expected Marshe, Rockett, and Slice Boogie to win this match. I was very surprised. Again, not shocked. I mean, when you're talking about the NWA, if your name's on that roster, then you, at any point on any given day, if you have a good day and your opponent isn't having their best day, you can come out on top. I like Sal Rinauro. I think it's hard not to. Mims, again, one of the prodigies. We mentioned guys like Jordan Clearwater, girls like Sky Blue and Kenzie Page, and Mims is one of those that's just got. I mean, he's got the world in front of him. The world is his oyster, as it were, and I'm happy to see them advance here. And we'll see what happens. I think this tag team tournament obviously is going to only get tougher. And let me throw this out here for every team that is advanced. Remember what's at the end of the road, okay? At the end of the road, ultimately, you got to face La Rebellion, and that's no easy ticket.
Yeah, those guys. One thing I did remember when we were talking to him is Doc was very adamant about his somebody said something about the Road Warriors, and I was like, he says this about you all the time. You guys are the Road Warriors. That's your attitude and everything. And they were very much like, that's the point. And that it was scary, and so they're scary. And so all of you guys, you've got something scary to look forward to at the end of this. So speaking of the end are moving into the semifinals, as well as now the Big Strong Pals. According to my notes, the end will take on the winner of possibly next week is Stevens and Kratos versus the Rude Dudes, and then the Big Strong Pals will have to take on whoever wins out of the Hawks Airy guys and JTG and Colby Carrino. What an interesting combination that those two guys are going to be in a tag team, but that's what's going down. So it's going to be interesting to see how this tournament plays out. I'm excited to watch it. Next up, you got Taryn's girls. Well, so the story is that it's actually Paola and Marty at the podium saying a lot of things. I'll be honest with you, they don't speak Spanish, so I missed a good chunk of this. But the gist of this whole thing is that because of last week, and deservedly so, I guess, for Marty, she's getting the blame here. But she did mention, you guys can't beat us in a tag team, and you can't beat us one-on-one. And so that actually became a stipulation here now, is that these girls, Taryn's posse, Genocide and Paola Blaze, are going to get one-on-one matches with Marty Bell and Allison Kay. Paola versus Marty, Genocide versus AK. If one of those matches, the challengers win, then they get a tag team title shot. So they got two opportunities here to make that happen. and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So either way, could be an interesting match. We see our girl Genocide, this newcomer Paola, like get in to this matchup against the Hex. It's that would be a wild one, I would think. All right.
Yeah, I'm all for stipulations and different things, having to earn your spot in certain matches. I do have a problem and can sympathize with Marty in this situation that, it doesn't seem super fair that they get two singles matches at a chance to get tag team titles. However, that doesn't mean I have any doubt that the Hex as individuals, AK and Marty Bell, can stand their ground. I mean, they're tag champions, but they're accomplished singles wrestlers as well. But as I said, I can sympathize with her a little bit with her frustration. But this is their first step as tag champions to see what they're made of. So.
Will is 100% correct. I mean, this again speaks to just the conspiracies no end. This is conspiracy Corgan again, being manipulative and that's what I heard you say, Will. And to me, it's astonishing that as Allison Kay so brilliantly put it, you've been wrestling for like 2 minutes, and the Hex did all this and earned these tag team championships, and they get 2 cracks. Now, that's no shade on Genocide. I think Genocide deserves everything she gets.
Okay.
So don't misunderstand me. But to Will's
it's a conspiracy
point,
till it's not.
Marty Bell, don't put words in my mouth. Marty Bell has a very, very valid complaint. I agree with you, Will.
All right. Well,
I'm starting to see Rob come alive again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are feeling that too.
Well, he's about to turn up, Will, because we're finally at the point of the show that we all wanted to get to, and it's the big stuff we got to talk about. Nick Aldis makes his return to NWA Powerrr, and wanted to give justice to the rest of the show, but this is the big news from the show. God, listen to me. I'm like saying the champ is back, and it's just habit at this point. And I gotta say, seeing the man walk out and Sweet Charlotte is not with him, it's so weird. It's so weird. And anyway, I guess I'll just run through real quick what kind of the overview was from my perspective. And then, Doc, I know you've got a lot to say. So he comes out, and I got to say, a very humble Nick Aldis says that on that night, Trevor Murdoch was the better man. And, he gets into a little discussion with Kyle about Kyle getting punched in the face. And Nick does make it a point to point out that Kyle does have a punchable face, but that maybe he was just in the moment, and just in the heat of the moment, he punched Kyle, and maybe that wasn't the best idea. So he kind of apologizes for that a bit. But and then he does what, I mean, this is all, some people might rub them the wrong way, but he begins to talk about passing that torch to Trevor now, and what that means. And the responsibility is now on you. For 1,044 days, he took all the interviews. He carried the weight. The heavy is the head, as they say. And, he was up at all hours of the day dealing with press and dealing with responsibilities that come along with being the champion. And now that's all on Trevor. He gets to be the man. He gets to see what that's like. For him, the work has just begun. And so he does say that as God is his witness, he knows how to get back on the horse again, and he will win the title once again. And because winning is the family business. And of course, Mickie James walks out and joins him at his side at a show of support. And that's kind of how we end the show, these two guys. And, I'm not sure if even the guys from Strictly Business knew what to expect here. But that's what we got. We got not an angry Aldis, not a vengeful Aldis. Aldis is not a Nick that was accusing Corgan of anything. In fact, it was more of a celebratory moment for him. Like he seemed to acknowledge that he and Corgan had built something very special here. And he said, to quote, the GOAT, we've only just begun there too. So it's a very, very interesting way for Nick Aldis to send us off on this special night of NWA Powerrr. But Doc, I'm going to throw to you first. I just have to know where your mind's at, how you're feeling, what you think about Aldis, and was this what you expected?
Man, let me can I filibuster for a minute? Because I've got so many things running around in my mind.
I threw to you first because I figured that would happen.
Well, I thought you would throw to Wil first to give me a minute or two to gather my thoughts. I've got so many of them. I've got to say this. The last time we had a championship reign of this magnitude was Dan Severn. I got to be honest. I was in the military during those days, and I wasn't as attuned to the sport as I should have been in those days. And that reign didn't impact me as much as the 1986 Ric Flair reign. After regaining it from Kerry Von Erich, but I was a kid. I was a kid then. But Certified Hustler said something earlier in the chat, and I just crossed my mind. I'm not reading the chat as we go, trying to stay pay attention to the conversation. But he talks about how wrestling saved his life even. And there's that level of gratitude. And that's how it was for me. You guys know my story, growing up in generational poverty. The only reason, it's like Eddie Kingston talks about, the only reason he didn't end up on the streets or in jail or dead even was because he had to be in at 6:05 on Saturday nights to watch wrestling. And that's the same thing with my brother and I. We practically raised ourselves. And it was Ric Flair, Nikita Koloff, the Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, that raised us, as it were. I haven't ever felt this alive about pro wrestling since I did on October the 26th, 2018, which was 5 days after Nick Aldis won the World Championship from Cody, his second reign. And I'm getting choked up, man. There have only been 10 days in my daughter's life, Petra's life, where she hasn't known Nick Aldis as the world champion. These last 10 days. And that means something, my daughter, my middle daughter, Piper, she's 12 years old. So, she's at that age where she's remembering things, but still 3 years is a long time in a 12-year-old's life. It's a long time. It's a quarter of her lifetime. She doesn't remember a day when Nick Aldis wasn't champion. And Petra never lived a day, outside of her mother's womb when Nick Aldis wasn't champion. And so this rings very personal to me. It's, when the shutdowns happened, there were very few voices out there for the NWA. We were three of them. We kept it going. We talked every single day, 9 hours a week on Tuesday and on Sunday nights. We came together. You guys, many of you in the chat came here and joined us as we talked about the importance of the NWA. It could not have been done. It wouldn't have been worth doing if it weren't for Nick Aldis and the manner in which he carried this company. You had others out there doing their work, people like Camille, people like Thunder Rosa, going out there and talking about the NWA and working hard and hustling for this brand, this most important brand. But nobody did it with more excellence and more seriousness and more honor and dignity than Nick Aldis did. And like he said today, you can't know the pressures of the office until you are the one holding the championship. You can't know it. You can't know the decisions that Billy Corgan makes, Conspiracy Corgan makes, until everybody wants a piece of you. I don't like Billy Corgan, but I understand the weight that he bears. And I think Nick echoed that tonight in his speech when he acknowledged that between the two of them who don't like each other, together with their mutual talents, they built something really remarkable and wonderful. I want you all to know in this chat, and many of you do recognize this because you're the kinds of fans that are intelligent, and that's why you're here. That's why you're tuning in to listen to us. You just got to witness 1,044 days. That may never, ever happen again in our lifetime. I'm nearly 50 years old. It's been a quarter of a century since it happened. If it happens again, I might be gone by then. Who knows? If it's going to be done again, though, it's probably going to be Nick Aldis that does it. He's the one that's capable. And like he said, he'll get back on the horse. He knows how to. But I want to say something about Trevor Murdoch, too, because after When Our Shadows Fall, you never heard Trevor Murdoch come out here and complain about the chair shot. You never heard him make excuses. He came out and said, I didn't get the job done. And so I'm willing If I can't be the world champion, then it's not worth my time being in this sport anymore. And so I'm going to make the highest gamble. I'm going to put my whole career, not my time in the NWA, but my career as a professional wrestler on the line if I can't do that and win that title and walk in Harley's footsteps. I'm going to tell you, Trevor, if you had not won the championship, you would still have walked in Harley's footsteps. What you've done, this journey that we've been on, it's been incredible. You deserve to be champion. Part of me expected there to be a review or something. Within 24 hours, I knew it wasn't going to happen. And Nick Aldis, just like you, Trevor, he didn't come out here and make excuses. He didn't blame conspiracy. This isn't a time to blame conspiracy Corgan. We were all there. We saw Pat Kenny come out. We saw Corgan come out at the climax of that match. But that was not a factor in this. At the end of the day, on August the 29th, it was Trevor Murdoch's day. He won the championship. He won it. He is the real world champion for 10 days. The only 10 days in my youngest daughter's life that Nick Aldis has not been world champion. So, Trevor, my challenge is to you. You've got big shoes to fill. I don't have any doubt that you can fill them. You know, there's a lot of weight and pressure that goes along with carrying that crown. Like Gary said, heavy is the head that bears the crown. Now the crown is on your head. Now you get to feel what it's like to have everybody coming after you. You get to feel what it's like to never rest a single day of your life, to be up every morning at 5, to go to bed past 2 a.m. every single day. Nick Aldis did it for 1,044 days. I want to see you do it. Can you do it? I think you can, but I got to see it. Those are my thoughts.
Speaking of big shoes to fill, Will, you're next.
It was really good. No, obviously, I can't nor would I try to match that sentiment. I agree with every word Rob has said. I too have a 3-year-old who has only known a world where Nick Aldis has been champion. So it definitely rings true. And I mean, when you talk about wrestling to 3 guys like us, wrestling is more than just a sport. It's more than just something that we are casual spectators of. It's something that's played a major role in all of our lives. And no doubt a lot of you guys that are in the chat, it's played a big role in your life. And so, you know, these events, these title changes, the things of this magnitude, you know, it's not just like, you know, something casual that happens, or a random team that wins a game and it's a big deal or something. I mean, these are big moments. And, in that room that night, you could feel it. When I went back and watched it on TV, I could still feel it. You guys that watch from home could probably feel it as well. It was just a big moment. It was a milestone in our sport. And anytime that the 10 pounds of gold, the real Worlds Heavyweight Championship, changes hands, it's a milestone. It's a historic moment. But to happen in that setting with these 2 guys going at it, obvious, real animosity, you know, just both of them chasing the prize that they, you know, are giving their lives for, literally. You could just feel the weight of it. And, you know, for me, Nick's comments tonight show that he's respecting the title, he's respecting the sport, and he's respecting the spirit of competition, knowing that, you know, he and Trevor have done battle several times. And when they did battle on August 29th, Trevor was the better man. And you're right, Rob. It's respectable. He didn't come out and make excuses. He didn't come out and, you know, try to vow that, you know, the next day he's going to win the title back. You know, no, I think he understands what it means to win. Obviously, he understands what it means to win that title and to carry it for 1,044 days. And I think he was publicly passing the torch to Trevor and saying, okay, you know, have at it. I'll be back, you know, and I think we'll see several more Nick Aldis title reigns, if not one very long one that lasts most of the rest of his career, just because he's that caliber of a champion. He's that caliber of a professional wrestler. But I think he has understood that it's time to let Trevor carry that weight for a little while and see what he can do. I have no idea what's next for Trevor. Maybe that's what answers we'll get next, but we did need some closure on what's next for Nick Aldis. And even though he didn't specifically say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go do that, I think he made it pretty clear tonight that he's respecting the title change, and he's going to move forward, and he'll make his way back to it when the time is right. But for now, he's going to be Nick Aldis. And it was strange to see him without that title. He's one of those, it's like you hardly ever see a picture of Ric Flair, when unless he's in the middle of wrestling, but you never see a picture of Ric Flair like on the mic or walking to the ring where he doesn't have a title around his waist. And it was just really strange to see Nick Aldis walk out without Sweet Charlotte, cupped under his arm like we always are used to seeing. So, it was strange, and it's a new chapter. It's where we're at. So,
I just want to say, because I feel like I owe everyone this, at least, that or for Doc Stinson especially, but maybe some of the chat, because we've gone back and forth ourselves here, Doc, about Nick Aldis, and I don't think that my issue's ever been with the man himself, but since he walked out tonight and he handled his situation with respect and dignity and like a true champion, I feel like it's worth me saying also that I should show him that respect and dignity, just like he earned this evening when he handled things the way he did. The guy, Doc pointed it out, 1,044 days, we're never going to see it again. There's a good probability that's not going to be a thing you see in any company. I don't care which company you're watching the most of. 1,044 days is not a thing that normally happens, and we're further and further away from it ever being a thing for anyone. And so this was history. You guys got to witness history. You got to see a man carry an entire company on his back for 3+ years. This guy has been the man. He's been on top of the world, and that's a lot of weight. You guys don't see everything that these people do, and we're even a little lucky. I guess I should say that, from just being in the perspective that we are, to see some of the other stuff that goes on with title reigns and behind the scenes, or seeing more of the chatter, more of the discourse that goes on online and elsewhere about these championship reigns. When the pandemic hit, the criticisms and the qualifications everyone wanted to put on the title reign, or the asterisks, or whatever people said that we, even myself, never attached myself to. I was never a fan of that. I think that was bogus. But there's constant demands on a champion, not just interviews and press, but just demands on everybody's got their advice for what they think you should do and where you should be and who you should defend against and how you should do it, and yada, yada, yada. And just think about 3+ years of every single day you wake up and there's about 150 people at least that are going to try to give you their opinion on how your life should be led, just because you're the top dog in the industry. The spotlight's on you. And so everybody wants a piece of that. And to Nick Aldis's credit, the man defended his position to the best of his ability for as long as he possibly could. And he did it for longer than most men ever will. I was critical of him on how he did it in some cases, but at the end of the day, he's an NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, a 2-time NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion at this point. I'll never have it once. So to that, I can only give him credit that he's there, and he fought to his with everything he had to get there to this moment. And man, I almost just, like, today it felt like seeing a man who was just, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but just tired. And it was just like, all right, I did it. I carried it for as long as I could. And now you've bested me, and I'm going to let you see what you can do. And not like tired as in I give up, but tired as like I'm willing to take a step back and watch and see what happens from here. And when I get myself together, I'll be back. And that's all you can ask for out of a man. And no grievances with the result, just nothing else out of him, just honor and respect. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's that's how a champion behaves. And God bless him, Nick Aldis was a real world's champion.
The greatest real world's champion of the modern era. And I think that is not an opinion. I think that is rationally provable. And beyond that, I mean, you know, the three of us would not be here on this show, you know, without him and without his influence and without him looking out across the landscape during the pandemic and saying these guys have something worth listening to and they need to be the voice. And so if for nothing else, if for just that, we owe a world of gratitude to Nick Aldis, and he will be back. I guarantee you he will be.
Doc, I almost feel like we got like so depressed here. Like we got so sad. Do you want to see, you know, one thing I did love about 73 is that he came out to Zahir and Swami Barakas' theme song. You want to get pumped up?
Play it.
All right. Well, we'll hit y'all with the music video for Swami and Zahir's song. What, God Save the King, right? So here it is.
Yo, what's causing all this?
You're now listening to the sounds of Zahir.
Call me the national treasure, like I'm Trevor McDonald. The diamond in the rough, shining past the pain and the struggle. Climb the summit, now they clamour for the glamour and hustle. Ask the cameraman to zoom in when I'm making them humble. A to the Z, been face to face with dangerous fiends. Run from oblivion to chasing gladiatorial dreams. Now they pack coliseums for this colossal machine. The biggest British invasion since the lads of Yellow Submarine. Suit and tie, superplexes on my Uber Flex. Schooling with the truth and straight, shooting next. Go to Billy Corgan, I've been smashing pumpkins all my life. Stunting till I die, stunning them like Austin in his prime. Clotheslining parasites, rotten apples, antagonize. Chew them up and spitting at these pips like I'm Gladys Knight. Set the goals, lock foes and choke holes. Swallow souls and then pose with his 10 pounds of gold. All rise when I enter the room. Ready or not, here comes the boom. God save the king. Step forward if you're staking a claim. Come for my throne, then I'm bringing the pain. God save the king. All hail when I ride into town. The real world champ's holding the crown. God save the king. Rule the waves in this glorious reign. Bow down when you mention my name. God save the king. Turnbuckle tactics, slamming across the canvas. It's the camera snapping candidly. Capture this heir apparent on the pedestal. Presidential views across the vestibule. A testament, it's a blessing testing my fortitude. The force of nature forming to form an orderly queue. The dealers holding aces and eights, bluffing you fools. Scuffing your crews, crushing the rules up in disputes. I'm breaking through with nothing to lose. Stop your excuse. The real world's champ has got the game in the cobra. Clutching the camel, pressing gorillas, dropping the shoulder. Taming the lion, slaying these giants on every corner. There's no holds barred when I de-establish the order. One king but two sides to every story. I made an impact so I'm bound for glory. It's nickel down economics when I'm overseas. No Irish charm me like it's over in the clover leaf. All rise when I enter the room. Ready or not, here comes the boom. God save the king. Step forward if you're staking a claim. Come for my throne, then I'm bringing the pain. God save the king. All hail when I ride into town. The real world champ's holding the crown. God save the king. Rule the waves in this glorious reign. Bow down when you mention my name. God save the king.
He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs. His only vice is wanting to be just like me.
Woo! That song is still fire.
Whoa, I was about to say, woo.
Oh, I was like, this whole thing got us flipped. What's going on? Yes.
And to see the champ come out, to see the champ come out to that music at 73 was electric, man. It was. We have been advocating heavily for Swami and Zahir for a long, long time, and to see them get their little taste of just due to have that music accompany him to that historic match was phenomenal.
And Zahir, by the way, also produced some other music. I know Kiera Hogan, her theme is through Zahir, so also props to him for that. He's and
I think he's produced music for Camille as well, and a few others, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so like I think most of the music you hear on the NWA is produced by like Sherry Shaw, and then Zahir now has been doing some. So very cool. But that song is awesome, and I wouldn't be mad if Nick Aldis used that forever. Like I think that song is just like that amps me up every time I hear it. So it's just that's some real stuff. But man, I can't wait to see what happens with the Nick Aldis. I can't wait to see what you guys in the chat think is up next. We'd love to hear from you guys. We like in on social media, everywhere, just keep the discussion going, because it's a new dawn in the NWA, and it feels like one. I mean, this whole season is going to be at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. This is history. All of these Powerrr shows are coming to you straight from there. So it's a whole new vibe for Powerrr that we're used to. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens. And I will say the Powerrr crowd is a little different than the other ones. The first few episodes of Powerrr, I was not a fan of some of the crowd. I'm just saying. That's just me. I shouldn't say that out loud, probably, but I'm just saying. Some of y'all got too rowdy and too drunk, and that was wild. And anyway, is that wrong of me to say? Should I have not said that?
Nah, they got it together though towards the end of the tapings. They came around, and it was thankfully we had people like Front Row and his crew and in there to keep things and to watch out, keep an eye on things for us. So I'm
gonna tell you what. Just being there, the crowd of the last several episodes though gets amped up. Like the Chase is a fun venue to be at, and it's going to be fun to go back and see what happens. I guess Billy said it was okay. One of the nights there to say to tweet it or whatever. It's okay. They're already in discussions for the return to the Chase, so you can see more. GPB is not the only spot anymore, and it's going to be interesting to see what the NWA comes up with. And we happen to be privy to have heard some other stuff, some other surprises this season that are going to be coming up as far as shows we're going to get to see. So stay tuned. It's going to be an exciting time in the NWA. Fellas, so did you have anything you wanted to add here tonight?
No, just good to be back. Obviously, we enjoyed ourselves, and those of you that we got to meet for the first time, and those of you that we got to hang out with again, it was just a great time. And there's no community like the wrestling community. There's no community within wrestling like the hashtag NWA fam, and we're happy to be a part of it. Glad that you guys are along for the ride. It's getting better and better every single week. It gets better and better. I don't know if you guys feel that, but it feels like things are just ramping up, and the trajectory of the NWA and professional wrestling and our whole community is just it's vibrant, it's alive. So it's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan.
Eric, I am not. Eric Dale in the chat asking if I'm picking a fight with Midwest fans. I am not. A lot of the Midwest fans are fun.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Certified Hustler was there. Certified Hustler was getting rowdy too, but he was fun rowdy. Like, he was into the show rowdy. I'm just saying, like, some of these people, the thing with the hotel is I think some people like stroll in and they don't even know what to expect. They just like roll in. They're just there to get hammered and watch whatever happens, and they have it. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just
it's an interesting dynamic. Story about the Chase is in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was the swankiest place. The Chase Ballroom, and they had some really nice bars. They still do, and all the the wives of the St. Louis businessmen and whatnot, they all knew of the bars and the really swanky restaurants they had there at the Chase, and so when the husbands wanted to go see wrestling, they would tell their wives, "Hey, dress up, honey. We're going to the Chase tonight." The wives are thinking, "Oh, we're going out to a nice dinner or to a nice club," and they bring them into the Courtside Ballroom for a fantastic night of pro wrestling. So when you look at pictures or films, everybody's dressed up. And when we were at the Chase this last week, you saw lots of that. That's still a practice. You saw lots of men wearing suits, women wearing beautiful gowns. It was fantastic to be in that environment. Really neat. I do want to say, go ahead. Go ahead. Asked for last thing. I didn't want this all to be just a again, I don't want this to be depressing and us mourning the passing of the crown, because I think there's something to celebrate here too. So I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate Trevor Murdoch on a historic victory. He was a class act to me. We did. There was an opportunity to get, some gloating on camera, but Trevor did not allow that to happen. He accepted my handshake and was a perfect gentleman. And I'm not saying that I like the guy, but I certainly respect him and acknowledge his reign as legitimate. He is the one true world's champion right now. So hats off to you, Trevor Murdoch, and best of luck to you on this reign.
Besides Trevor Murdoch's family, Doc was the first person to hug Trevor Murdoch after his title win, I'm pretty sure. So just throwing that out there. I seen it. It happened. I got mine on, not to talk out of turn again, but, in Charlotte at that last matchup, I went ahead and had Trevor sign off on my replica 10 pounds of gold. He added his name to it. So I really needed this more than anyone this week.
Wishful thinking. You're like, oh, who's that name?
Or else this would have been a garbage replica 10 pounds of gold. So, now I can say every signature on there is legitimate. So this feels good.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It's been I could sit here and talk to you guys forever. It feels like we're back. Everything's going to get back in the groove. I missed you guys, every single one of you in the chat, and you that watch and talk to us later that just started the chat. We appreciate all of you, legitimately. Thank you so much for watching. You guys being here and being so active and participating, or even just watching, and getting that view count up. If you hit that like button, subscribe to the NWA channel if you haven't already, and that really amps it amps up the exposure, but it also gives us an excuse to be here, so that President William Patrick Corgan and Irish Pat Kenny, that they see that people are actually participating and enjoying this, because despite what Doc would have had you believe weeks before now, they do care about the fan experience. They do want you guys to have the best time possible. They love the idea that the conversation keeps going even after Power goes off the air. And we're making that happen. This is a team effort. This is all this is for. We're doing this just because we're fans, just like you guys. And we're just talking about the shows, and we want to interact and discuss and predict and all of the things. And there's plenty going on to talk about. Where does Nick Aldis actually go from here? Legitimately, where does he go from? What does he do now? Who's going to step up and be Trevor Murdoch's first opponent? There's plenty of people waiting in the wings. Jax Dane has his hands full, but there's also Colby Carino, the Masked Man. There's why did I just forget who else is?
I'm sure Pope is going to want a shot.
The Pope's out there, yeah. And, not
sure
Tyrus, the skipper of the Pope.
Tyrus is working. Tyrus is not to be. Yep. So,
yeah, he's working his way there, man. He just did his first defense. He's 6 more.
And then you've got the non-roster talent out there. That's what you got to say about Nick Aldis. Whether it was a Nobi Bryan or a Mike Bennett, whoever in the world, traveling to China to defend the championship, Nick Aldis took all of them on. That's what always frustrated me. When you were talking earlier about the asterisks and this and that, I'm like, the question was always who has Nick beaten? I'm like, he's beaten everybody he's had to, every challenge he accepted, and he came out on top. So now, Trevor, that falls to you. Have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. I said the asterisk. I never bought into that, but it was just those are the kind of things that constantly, the criticisms, the things people try to put on you as the champion. But you know what? Trevor Murdoch's tough as hell. If anybody can handle it, he can. So he's ready for it. I know he's ready, and I can't wait to see who steps up to be the first challenger for that 10 pounds of gold from him. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. We are from This Is Pro Wrestling, or it's at TIPW Show on all the social medias. You can go to youtube.com/This Is Pro Wrestling and subscribe over there. You see all of our handles here. We really are grateful to every single one of you. You guys take care. Thank you for being with us, from Doc, from Will, from myself. You guys enjoy your gravy cake tonight.